Imagine stepping onto a crowded bus after a long day, the kind where every seat is taken and the air feels thick with exhaustion. That's exactly where our story begins, with a young black teenager named Jamal, just 17 years old, heading home from his part-time job at the local diner. He's got dreams bigger than the city skyline, hoping to make it to college someday, despite the odds stacked against him in a tough neighborhood. But on this ordinary afternoon, something extraordinary happens. As the bus jolts forward, Jamal notices a pregnant white woman struggling to stand, her hand cradling her belly while she sways with emotion. Without a second thought, he stands up and offers her a seat. It's a simple act of kindness, the kind that happens every day but often goes unnoticed. She smiles gratefully, sinks into the spot, and they exchange a few polite words about the weather and how the bus is always running late. But as she gets ready to step off at her stop, she slips a folded note into his hand, her eyes locking onto his with an intensity that sends a chill down his spine. "Read this when you're alone," she whispers, before disappearing into the crowd. Jamal stares at the paper, his heart pounding. What could it say? Little does he know, those words are about to turn his world upside down, revealing secrets that connect their lives in ways he never imagined. What was in that note? Stick around, because you won't believe what happens next. Jamal clutched that note in his pocket all the way home, his mind racing faster than the bus wheels on the cracked city streets. He lived in a small apartment on the east side, the kind of place where the walls were thin and the neighbors' arguments seeped through like smoke. His mom, Angela, worked double shifts at the hospital as a nurse, always coming home with tired eyes, but a smile that said she was fighting for something better. Jamal's dad had passed away when he was just a kid, leaving behind memories of weekend basketball games and lessons about standing tall no matter what. That left Jamal stepping up early, juggling school, his job flipping burgers, and dreams of becoming an engineer someday. He wanted to build things that lasted, bridges maybe, to connect people in a world that felt so divided. As he unlocked the door, the smell of Angela's famous spaghetti sauce hit him, garlic and tomatoes simmering on the stove. She was already home, humming an old soul tune while stirring the pot. "Hey, baby, how was your day?" she called out, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Jamal forced a grin, not wanting to worry her with the weirdness of the bus ride. "Same old, Mom. Bus was packed, but I made it." He slipped into his room, a tiny space crammed with textbooks, a beat-up laptop, and posters of inventors like George Washington Carver staring down at him like silent motivators. Sitting on the edge of his bed, he pulled out the note, his fingers trembling a bit. It was just a plain piece of paper, folded neatly, no envelope or anything fancy. He unfolded it slowly, half expecting it to be a thank you, or maybe even a tip for his kindness. The words were handwritten in neat, looping script. "Jamal, you don't know me, but I know you. Your father wasn't who you think he was. Meet me at the old clock tower downtown tomorrow at noon. Come alone. E." Jamal's breath caught in his throat. How did she know his name? He hadn't told her on the bus. They'd barely spoken. And his father? That hit like a punch to the gut. His dad, Marcus, had been a mechanic, a good man who fixed cars and people's problems with the same steady hands. Died in a hit-and-run accident when Jamal was 8, leaving questions that Angela never fully answered. She always said it was just a tragic accident, but Jamal had overheard whispers from aunts and uncles about unfinished business and debts owed. Was this woman connected to that? Or was it some kind of scam? His heart pounded as he read it again, the mystery wrapping around him like fog. That night, sleep didn't come easy. Jamal tossed and turned, the note hidden under his pillow, like a secret he wasn't sure he wanted. Images flashed in his mind, the pregnant woman's face, pale and determined, her blue eyes holding something unspoken. She looked to be in her late 30s, with blonde hair tied back and a simple coat that hid her bump until she stood. Why him? Why now? In a city full of strangers, acts of kindness like giving up a seat happened all the time, but this felt personal, targeted. He thought about race, too, though he tried not to dwell on it. A black teen helping a white woman, some folks might see it as nothing, others as a statement. But Jamal wasn't about statements. He was about doing right, the way his mom taught him. Still, in a world where tension simmered on the news every night, this note felt like it could stir up something deeper. The next morning, Jamal woke to the sound of rain pattering against the window. Angela was already up, packing her lunch for another long shift. "You okay, sweetie? You look like you didn't sleep a wink." He shrugged it off, mumbling about a tough homework assignment. Part of him wanted to show her the note, to let her wisdom sort it out, but the words "come alone" echoed in his head. What if it put her in danger? Instead, he grabbed his backpack and headed to school, the note burning a hole in his jeans. Classes dragged on. Algebra equations blurring into questions about his dad, history lessons feeling ironic as he pondered family secrets. His best friend, Rico, noticed something was off during lunch. Yo, Jamal, you zoning out again? What's eating you, man? Rico was the comic relief, always cracking jokes about their dreams of escaping the hood. Jamal almost spilled it but held back, saying it was just family stuff. The clock tower loomed in his thoughts, an old landmark in the heart of downtown, surrounded by bustling shops and forgotten history. As noon approached, Jamal skipped his last class, telling himself it was just to check it out. The rain had stopped, leaving puddles that reflected the gray sky. He took the subway downtown, his stomach twisting with nerves. The clock tower stood tall, its face weathered from years of watching over the city. People hurried by, business folks in suits, tourists snapping photos, kids on skateboards dodging the crowds. Jamal scanned the area, his eyes landing on a bench where the woman sat, her coat buttoned tight against the chill. She wasn't alone in the sense of company, but she looked isolated, her hands folded over her belly as if protecting more than just the baby inside. He approached slowly, his sneakers squeaking on the wet pavement. You wrote this?" he said, pulling out the note. She looked up, her expression a mix of relief and caution. "Jamal, thank you for coming. I'm Emily. Please sit." Her voice was soft, almost whispering, as if the wind might carry her words away. He sat, keeping some space between them, his mind screaming questions. "How do you know my name? And what about my dad? He's been gone for years." Emily glanced around, like she was checking for shadows. "Your father and we worked together once. Not as mechanics, that was his cover. Marcus was involved in something bigger, something that could change lives." Jamal's head spun. Cover? His dad fixed cars, played cards with the guys on Fridays, helped with homework. But Emily's eyes told a different story, one laced with regret. He helped people in trouble, Jamal. Undocumented folks, families escaping bad situations. He had a network, quiet and underground. But it went wrong. The accident wasn't random. Jamal felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. Underground network? It sounded like something from a movie, not his dad's life. He remembered fragments, late-night phone calls, Marcus slipping out with a backpack, coming back with bruises he blamed on work. Angela always said not to ask too many questions. Why tell me now? And why on a bus? Emily touched her belly gently. Because time's running out. I'm carrying his grandchild, your half-sibling. Marcus and it was complicated. He left something for you, something important. But there are people who don't want it found. Jamal's world tilted. Half-sibling? His dad with another woman? Betrayal mixed with confusion, anger bubbling under the surface. This is crazy. My mom, does she know? Emily shook her head. She suspected, but Marcus protected her. Protected you. The note was my way in. Your kindness reminded me of him. They talked for what felt like hours, though it was only minutes. Emily shared bits and pieces. Marcus's double life helping immigrants cross borders safely, dodging authorities and worse, gangs who profited from the chaos. A deal gone bad led to the hit and run, orchestrated to silence him. She had proof hidden away, but retrieving it meant risk. Jamal's mind raced with doubts. Was she telling the truth, or playing him for some reason? Her pregnancy added layers, vulnerability that made him want to believe, to protect. But the mystery deepened. Who were these people after the proof? What exactly did his dad leave? Emily handed him a small key, cold metal in his palm. This opens a locker at the central station. Go tonight, but watch your back. I'll contact you soon. Jamal left the clock tower in a daze, the key heavy in his pocket. The city buzzed around him, oblivious to the storm brewing in his chest. He thought about Angela, how she'd react if this was real. Betrayal from the man she loved, a secret family. And him, Jamal, caught in the middle, his simple act of giving up a seat unraveling everything. He headed home, but detoured to the park, needing space to think. Kids played on swings, laughing without a care, while he sat on a bench piecing together memories. Like the time Marcus gave him a locket with a photo inside, family heirloom, he said. Now Jamal wondered if it held clues. Suspense hung over him like the gathering clouds. Danger felt real, shadows longer in the afternoon light. Dinner that night was tense. Angela noticed his distraction, probing gently. "Something on your mind, Jamal? You can talk to me." He wanted to, desperately, but the key burned against his skin. "Just school stuff, Mom. Thinking about college apps." She nodded, but her eyes said she knew better. After she went to bed, Jamal snuck out, the city lights guiding him to the central station. It was alive with travelers, families hugging goodbye, solo riders buried in phones. He found the lockers, heart hammering as he inserted the key. Click. Inside, an envelope waited, thick with papers. He grabbed it, stuffing it into his backpack, glancing over his shoulder. Was that man in the corner watching? Or just paranoia? Back in his room, under the dim lamp, Jamal opened the envelope. Photos spilled out, his dad with Emily, younger and smiling, documents with names and dates, bank records hinting at hidden funds. A letter from Marcus. "If you're reading this, son, I'm sorry. Protect them. The truth will set you free, but it comes at a cost." Jamal's eyes blurred with tears. Truth about what? Funds for what? The conflict tore at him. Loyalty to his mom, curiosity about this hidden world, fear of the unknown pursuers. Emily's words echoed. Time's running out. What if they came for him next? He hid the envelope, mind swirling with unanswered questions, the night stretching on in restless suspense. The days that followed blurred into a haze of caution. Jamal went through motions at school and work, but his thoughts were elsewhere. Rico picked up on it more, pressing for details. "Come on, bro. You're acting like you're in some spy flick." Jamal laughed it off, but inside, it felt exactly like that. He spotted Emily once more from a distance at a coffee shop. She looked nervous, scanning the room before slipping away. No contact yet, but the waiting built tension like a coiled spring. He researched online late at night hit-and-run cases from years ago, underground aid networks. Bits matched, but nothing concrete. Race played into it subtly. Marcus helping folks from all backgrounds, bridging divides in a divided city. Jamal felt proud, confused, scared. One evening, as he walked home from the diner, a car slowed beside him. Tinted windows, engine humming low. His pulse spiked. Were they the ones Emily warned about? He quickened his pace, ducking into an alley, heart in his throat. The car drove on, but the fear lingered. Back home, Angela confronted him. "Jamal, what's going on? You've been jumpy sneaking out. Talk to me." He hesitated, the envelope's weight pulling at him. Should he tell her? The conflict raged, protect her or share the burden. As he opened his mouth, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. They're closer than you think. Meet tomorrow. E. Suspense thickened, the mystery expanding like ripples in water, drawing him deeper into a web he never asked for. Jamal lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The simple kindness on the bus had opened a door to secrets long buried. His dad's legacy, Emily's child, hidden dangers, all intertwined. What would tomorrow bring? More answers or more threats? The night offered no clues, only the promise of unfolding drama. Jamal's phone buzzed again in the dark, pulling him from the edge of sleep. He grabbed it quick, not wanting to wake Angela in the next room. The message from the unknown number, Emily, he figured read, "Clock tower again, Dawn. Don't be followed." His stomach knotted up. Dawn? That was hours away, but the urgency in those words made rest impossible. He paced his room quietly, the envelope from the locker spread out on his desk like puzzle pieces that didn't quite fit. Photos of his dad with strangers, maps marked with routes across borders, bank slips showing transfers to names he didn't recognize. It all pointed to this underground world Marcus had hidden, helping folks escape danger, bridging gaps in a system that left too many behind. But why keep it from them? Jamal felt a sting of anger toward his dad, mixed with this weird admiration. A black man in a tough city, risking it all for others. Immigrants, refugees, people who looked nothing like him but shared the same fight for a better life. He thought about Emily's side of it too. A white woman caught up in Marcus's secrets, now carrying a child that tied them all together. Was she scared for the baby, or for what the truth might do to everyone? Jamal wondered if she'd loved his dad, or if it was just circumstance pulling them close. The note she'd handed him on the bus, that life-changing moment started with a simple seat offered in kindness, now felt like a door to chaos. Race lingered in his mind, not as the main thing, but as a quiet undercurrent. In a world where a black teen helping a pregnant white woman could spark all kinds of assumptions, this connection ran deeper, crossing lines that society drew but people like his dad ignored. By the time the skies started lightening, Jamal was dressed and slipping out the door. The streets were empty, just the hum of early delivery trucks and the occasional jogger. He took a roundabout way to the clock tower, ducking through alleys to shake any tails, his heart racing like he was in one of those thriller movies Rico loved. Emily was there already, bundled in a scarf, her belly more pronounced in the morning light. She looked exhausted, shadows under her eyes like she'd been up all night too. "You got the envelope?" she whispered as he sat beside her. He nodded, glancing around. A homeless guy shuffled by, pushing a cart, but otherwise it was quiet. "Yeah, but it's a lot. My dad's letter. It talks about protecting them." "Who? And these funds, what are they for?" Emily sighed, her hand resting on her bump, as if drawing strength from it. The funds were for the network. Safe houses, bribes to get people through checkpoints. Marcus stashed some away for you and Angela, in case things went south. But after the hit and run, I went into hiding. Those people, the ones who arranged the accident, they're tied to a smuggling ring that profited from the misery he was fighting. They think I have the proof to expose them. Jamal's mind reeled. Smuggling ring? It sounded big, dangerous, like the kind of thing that could swallow a kid like him whole. He pictured his dad not as the mechanic tinkering in the garage, but as a quiet hero dodging shadows. Why me? Why drag me into this now? Emily's eyes softened. Because the baby's coming soon, and if something happens to me, your family, Marcus wanted you to know who he really was, the good he did. That act of kindness on the bus, it was like seeing him again. They talked in hushed tones as the city woke up around them. Emily shared more angles, how she'd met Marcus at a community center, volunteering to help undocumented families. It started as friendship, grew into something more during late-night planning sessions. She admitted the guilt, knowing about Angela, but Marcus had painted a picture of a marriage on the rocks, though Jamal doubted that now. Angela had always spoken of him with love, even after he was gone. This subplot of betrayal gnawed at Jamal. How could he face his mom with this? Emily mentioned others in the network too, a guy named Raul, a Latino immigrant Marcus had saved, now running a small shop downtown. He might have more pieces, she said. But be careful, the ring's got eyes everywhere. Jamal left with Raul's address scribbled on a napkin, his head spinning from the layers unfolding. On the way to school, he detoured to the shop, a little bodega squeezed between a laundromat and a pawn place. Raul was behind the counter, a stocky man in his 40s with a scar across his cheek. "You Marcus's boy?" he asked after Jamal mentioned the name, his accent thick but warm. They stepped into the back room, shelves stacked with canned goods and faded photos on the wall. Raul's perspective hit different, gratitude mixed with sorrow. "Your papa, he got my family out of a bad spot in Mexico. Crossed the border quiet like, no coyotes taking our money. But the ring, they hated him for cutting into their business. I heard rumors after the accident, guys in suits asking questions." Raul handed him an old USB drive. "Marcus left this with me. Files on the operations. But kid, this ain't a game. They killed him. They won't stop at you." The weight of it all pressed on Jamal as he pocketed the drive. Subplots branched out like veins. Raul's family thriving because of Marcus, Emily's isolation, Angela's unknowing grief. At school, Rico cornered him in the hall. "Man, you look like crap. Spill it. What's this mystery chick got you twisted up?" Jamal confided a little, just enough about the note and the meeting, leaving out the danger. Rico's eyes widened. "A pregnant lady hands you a life-changing note after you give her your seat? Sounds like a setup, bro. Or destiny. But if it's about your pops, you gotta dig. Just don't go lone wolf, I'm here." Rico's loyalty added another angle, a friend's worry clashing with Jamal's need to protect everyone. They skipped lunch to hit the library computers, Jamal plugging in the USB. Encrypted files popped up, logs of rescues, names blurred for safety, but one stood out. A white-collar type linked to the smuggling ring, someone high up in City Hall maybe. Tension coiled tighter that afternoon. Walking home, Jamal swore he saw the same car from before, idling at a light. He darted into a crowd, pulse thumping, wondering if paranoia was getting to him or if the threats were real. At home, Angela was waiting with dinner, her nurse scrub still on. "We need to talk, Jamal. You've been distant and I found this." She held up the locket from his drawer, the one Marcus gave him. Inside, not just the family photo, but a tiny microchip tucked behind it. Jamal's breath hitched. "Mom, there's stuff about Dad I didn't know." Angela's face crumpled a bit, but she sat him down. Her perspective poured out. Suspicions of Marcus's late nights, arguments about money vanishing, but love that blinded her to the full truth. He was a good man, but secretive. If this is connected, we face it together. Jamal held back on Emily and the baby, not ready to shatter her more, but the conflict burned, loyalty to her versus the pull of this half-sibling on the way. That night, he cracked the USB files with Rico's help over a video call, Rico geeking out on the tech side. More evidence. Emails hinting at corruption, the hit-and-run tied to a cover-up. But as they dug, Jamal's phone lit up with another text. They know about the drive. Hide it. E. His blood ran cold. Who was watching? The smuggling ring's reach felt endless, tentacles in the city that could snag anyone. He hid the drive in the locket, slipping it around his neck like a talisman. Sleep evaded him again, thoughts swirling through perspectives. Emily's fear for her unborn child, Raoul's debt to Marcus, Angela's quiet strength, Rico's banter masking concern. The main conflict loomed, uncovering the full truth without losing everything. What if the ring struck next? Jamal stared out the window at the city lights, the suspense like a storm building, rain about to break, but holding off just a little longer. The next day brought more twists. Emily didn't show for a planned check-in, her phone going straight to voicemail. Jamal's worry spiked. Had they gotten to her? He tracked down Raoul again, who shared stories of close calls in the network, perspectives from the immigrants helped, families reunited, lives rebuilt. Marcus was the bridge, Raoul said. Black, white, brown, didn't matter. He saw people. It humanized the conflict, making Jamal prouder of his dad, even as the danger grew. At work, flipping burgers, a customer eyed him funny. A white guy in a suit, lingering too long. Paranoia or real? Jamal bolted early, heading to Emily's last known spot, an apartment building uptown. No answer at the buzzer, but a neighbor cracked the door. She left in a hurry last night, looked spooked. Mentioned a kid named Jamal, said if he comes, tell him. The note was just the start. Jamal's mind raced, with subplots converging. Back home, Angela confronted him fully, the microchip revealed as a backup of the files. Your dad left clues for a reason, she said, tears in her eyes. But if it's dangerous, we stop. He couldn't though, the pull was too strong. Rico texted, found something online, old news clip about the hit and run, witnesses recanting. Shady. The angles multiplied, corruption in high places, personal betrayals, racial bridges built in secret. Tension simmered as Jamal prepared to dive deeper, the life-changing notes ripples spreading wide, threats closing in without mercy. What happened to Emily? The question hung heavy, suspense wrapping around him like the night itself, unresolved and relentless. Jamal couldn't shake the worry about Emily. It gnawed at him like a bad dream that wouldn't fade. After the neighbor's cryptic message, he spent the evening pacing the apartment, the locket with the microchip dangling heavy around his neck. Angela watched him from the kitchen table, her coffee gone cold. Jamal, if this is about your dad, we need to go to the police. Secrets like this, they eat you up inside. Her voice cracked a little, showing the cracks in her own armor. She'd always been the rock, the nurse who patched up strangers and came home to patch up their life after Marcus. But now, with the microchip's files hinting at corruption tied to that smuggling ring, she looked scared, really scared. Jamal wanted to hug her, tell her everything about Emily and the baby, but the word stuck. How do you drop that bomb? Your husband's secret life included another family. No, he couldn't. Not yet. Instead, he muttered, I'm handling it, Mom. Just trust me. But even he didn't trust the path he was on. Rico blew up his phone that night with more digs from online forums, old threads about shady dealings in the city, whispers of a hit-and-run cover-up linked to big names in immigration enforcement. Bro, this goes high, Rico texted. Like, City Hall high. Your pops was a legend, fighting the system from the shadows. Jamal appreciated the hype, but it ramped up the fear. A black teen digging into this? In a city where folks like him got profiled just for walking home? It felt like walking a tightrope over a pit. He replied quick. Meet me tomorrow at the park. Need backup. Rico was all in, of course, his friend's loyalty was the one steady thing in this mess. But as Jamal lay in bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazy circles, he replayed Emily's last words through the neighbor. The note was just the start. Start of what? A family reunion or a nightmare? Morning came too soon, gray skies matching Jamal's mood. He skipped breakfast, telling Angela he had an early shift at the diner. Truth was, he headed straight to Raul's bodega, the USB drive burning in his pocket like evidence he shouldn't have. Raul was sweeping the front when Jamal burst in, out of breath. "Emily's gone missing. You hear anything?" Raul's face tightened, the scar on his cheek pulling like a warning. He locked the door, flipped the sign to closed. "Kid, I warned you. The ring, they don't play." Last night, a couple of their guys came sniffing around, asking about old favors. Mentioned a pregnant woman. Jamal's heart dropped. "They know about her? About the baby?" Raul nodded slow, pulling out a faded photo from his wallet. Him and Marcus, arms around each other at some border town safe house. "Your dad saved my life, crossing lines no one else would. Black man helping a brown family like mine? That's rare kindness in this world. But it made enemies. If they've got Emily, it's to flush out the proof." The words hit Jamal hard, building this knot of dread in his gut. He thought about that simple act on the bus, giving up his seat to a pregnant white woman, no big deal, right? But now it tied into this web of underground rescues, racial bridges Marcus built in secret, and a life-changing note that dragged him into danger. Raul handed him a burner phone. "Use this. Mine's probably tapped. And take this address. Old warehouse where the network stashed gear. Might be clues there if Emily left something." Jamal pocketed it, mind racing. Warehouse? Sounded sketchy, like the kind of place where bad things happen in movies. But he had to go. For Emily, for the half-sibling he hadn't met, for the dad he thought he knew. He met Rico at the park, the two of them hunkered on a bench like spies in a bad thriller. Rico had printed out the news clips, yellowed edges from the library printer. "Look, witnesses said the car that hit your dad had government plates, then poof, stories changed overnight." Jamal scanned the pages, anger mixing with the suspense. Who had that pull? A councilman maybe, or worse. They decided to hit the warehouse together, Rico cracking jokes to cut the tension. "If we get jumped, I'll distract, and with my killer dance moves." Jamal laughed, but it was forced. Deep down, he felt eyes on them, the same paranoia from before, but sharper now. As they walked the blocks, a black SUV crept by slow, windows tinted dark. Jamal grabbed Rico's arm. "Act normal." But his pulse hammered. Was it them? The smuggling ring closing in? The warehouse sat on the edge of town, a rusted shell forgotten by the city. Graffiti covered the walls, windows shattered like broken promises. They slipped through a side door, flashlights from their phones cutting through the dust. Crates stacked high, old files scattered like leaves. Jamal's beam hit a corner, fresh footprints in the dirt. "Someone's been here," he whispered. Rico nodded, voice low. "Emily." They dug through boxes, finding maps, fake IDs, stacks of cash bundled tight. Then a note in Emily's handwriting. "Jamal, if you find this, they're on to me. The proof is in the locket's chip. Expose Councilman Hale. He's the head. Protect the baby." Jamal's hands shook. Councilman Hale? The white guy on TV preaching about border security. All smiles and handshakes? Tied to the smuggling? It made sense now, the corruption angle, profits from misery while pretending to fight it. But as they stuffed the note away, a noise echoed, footsteps outside. Rico froze. "Hide." They ducked behind crates, hearts pounding like drums. The door creaked open, two figures silhouetted against the fading light. Men in dark clothes, one muttering into a phone. "The kid's gotta be close. Grab the woman first, she'll talk." Jamal's blood ran cold. They had Emily? Or were hunting her? The men rummaged, getting closer. Suspense built in Jamal's chest, every breath too loud. Rico shifted, knocking a pebble. It rolled, tiny but damning. The men spun. "Who's there?" One pulled something from his jacket, metal glinting. A gun? Jamal's mind screamed run. But they were trapped. Tension coiled like a spring, the climax hovering just out of reach. They bolted then, knocking over a crate in the chaos. Shouts echoed as Jamal and Rico sprinted through the back, legs pumping on adrenaline. Bullets? No, just threats yelled into the air. "Stop, or we'll find your family." The words chased them into the streets, Jamal's mind whirling. Family, Angela? The baby? He dialed the burner phone as they hid in an alley, gasping for air. Raul answered on the first ring. They were at the warehouse. Mentioned grabbing Emily. Raul cursed. "Get to my place. I know a safe spot." But as they moved, Jamal's regular phone buzzed. "Angela. Where are you?" "Strange men at the door asking for you." Panic surged. The ring was hitting home now, threats turning real. Night fell hard, the city a maze of shadows. Jamal and Rico made it to Raoul's, but the bodega was trashed, shelves toppled, glass crunching underfoot. Raoul met them out back, bruised but standing. They came looking. I fought him off, but Emily, they took her to Hale's office downtown. Heard it on their radio. Jamal's world narrowed to a point. Downtown, the gleaming building where power hit its dirt. He had the proof on the chip, the life-changing note secrets ready to blow it open. But storming in? Suicide. Rico gripped his shoulder. We call the cops? Jamal shook his head. They might be in on it. Angela texted again. Coming home now. Stay safe. But safe felt impossible. The group huddled, planning a desperate move, sneak in, rescue Emily, expose Hale before the ring silenced them all. As they geared up, slipping through back streets toward the office tower, tension peaked like a wave about to crash. Jamal clutched the locket, thinking of his dad's kindness, the bridges he built across races and lives. Emily's baby, his half-sibling, hung in the balance. Sirens wailed distant, cars honked, but Jamal's focus sharpened. They reached the building, security lights glaring. A side door ajar. Too easy? Trap? Rico whispered. This is it, man. Jamal nodded, heart in his throat. Inside, elevators dinged, footsteps echoed. Voices down the hall. The woman's talking. Kids next. Suspense gripped them. The most intense moment teetering on the edge, every second stretching as they crept. Closer, shadows dancing on the walls from the flickering fluorescence overhead. Jamal's breath came in shallow bursts, his hand gripping Rico's sleeve as they pressed against the cold concrete wall. The voices grew clearer now, a gruff man barking orders, another laughing low and mean. Tie her up tighter, she's feisty for being knocked up. Jamal's stomach twisted at the words. Emily. They had her, right there, spilling whatever they thought would break her. But what if she cracked? What if she gave up the proof on the chip, the files that could topple Councilman Hale and his dirty smuggling empire? Rico mouthed now, but Jamal shook his head, waiting for the right beat. Then, a door slammed, footsteps fading. They inched forward, peeking around the corner into a dimly lit office suite, glass partitions reflecting their tense faces like ghosts. The room was a mess of overturned chairs and scattered papers, and there she was, Emily, bound to a chair in the center, her face bruised but defiant, hand protectively over her belly. No guards in sight, just the hum of a computer on a desk nearby. Too quiet. Jamal signaled Rico to cover him, then darted in, whispering her name. Her eyes widened in shock. Jamal? How did you? But before she could finish, the lights snapped on bright, blinding them. Doors burst open from both sides, men in dark suits flooding in, guns drawn. Hands up, kid, one shouted, his voice echoing like thunder. Jamal froze, the locket swinging from his neck, as if mocking him. Trap. It had all been a setup, the side door left open like bait. Rico cursed under his breath, raising his hand slow. Emily's face crumpled. I'm sorry, they made me text you. The surprise hit Jamal like a freight train. Emily had betrayed him? No, not fully. Her eyes screamed apology, fear. One of the goons yanked the locket from his neck, snapping the chain. This what the boss wants. He tossed it to a tall figure stepping from the shadows. Councilman Hale himself, polished suit and smug grin, looking every bit the politician on the evening news. Smart kid, following the breadcrumbs. Your old man was the same, too nosy for his own good. Hale's voice dripped with fake charm, but his eyes were cold steel. Jamal's mind reeled. Hale here in the flesh? The man who'd preached about law and order while running the smuggling ring that preyed on desperate families, crossing borders for profit. The same ring Marcus had fought, building bridges of kindness across races, helping black, white, brown folks alike escape the traps Hale set. You kill my dad. Jamal spat, anger overriding fear as they zip-tied his wrists. Hale chuckled, pocketing the locket. Accidents happen when you meddle. Like that hit and run. Or, like what'll happen to your mom if you don't play nice. Angela? The stakes skyrocketed. Threats to her now, the woman who'd raised him alone, teaching him that simple acts like giving a seat on a bus could change lives. Jamal glanced at Rico, shoved against the wall, and Emily, tears streaming as she whispered, the baby's coming early, stress. Hale's men ignored her, focusing on Jamal. The note was clever, Emily, luring him in with family secrets. But now we've got the chip, the files, all tied up neat. But then the second twist slammed in. Hale plugged the microchip into the computer, his face shifting from triumph to fury as the screen flashed errors. What is this? Junk data. Emily managed a weak smile through her pain.
Decoy.
Marcus taught me well. The real proof's elsewhere, safe with someone you can't touch. Jamal's heart leaped. Not betrayal after all. She'd played them, using the life-changing notes pulled to draw him close, but hiding the true bombshell. Hale slammed his fist on the desk, turning red. Where? Tell me, or the kid pays first. Guns cocked, aimed at Jamal's head. Rico struggled, yelling, "Leave him alone." Sirens grew louder outside, not distant anymore, closing in. Had Raoul called the cops? Or was it another layer of the trap? Emily winced, doubling over. Contractions, it's too soon. The room tensed further, Hale barking at his men to lock it down. Jamal's mind raced. Escape, proof, family. All colliding as the building shook with approaching chaos. Bullets could fly any second, the pregnant white woman's labor adding urgency to the black teen's desperate stand. The bridges his dad built teetered on collapse, but Jamal felt a spark of Marcus in him, that quiet strength. Hale grabbed Emily's arm. Talk or lose the brat. Suspense choked the air, every tick of the clock pushing them closer to the edge, the climax roaring like those sirens, ready to explode but holding back just one more breath. The office suite felt like a pressure cooker, the air thick with the stench of fear and Hale's cologne. Jamal stood frozen, wrists zip-tied, staring down the barrel of a gun as Councilman Hale loomed over Emily, her face twisted in pain from early contractions. Rico was pinned against the wall by another goon, his usual bravado replaced with wide-eyed panic. Sirens screamed closer now, red and blue lights flashing through the high windows, casting jagged shadows across the room. Hale's eyes darted between Emily and the computer screen still blinking with error messages from the decoy chip. "You think you're clever," he snarled at her, voice low and dangerous. "Where's the real proof? I'll bury you all before those cops get through." Jamal's heart pounded, his dad's legacy, the secret network of kindness bridging black, white, and brown lives, hanging by a thread. That life-changing note from the bus, born from a simple act of giving up his seat, had led him here, to this moment where everything could end. Emily gasped, clutching her belly, but her voice held steady. "You'll never find it, Hale." Marcus made sure of that. Her defiance lit a spark in Jamal. He caught Rico's eye, nodding slightly, time to move. The sirens were deafening now, tires screeching outside. Hale's men hesitated, distracted by the chaos. Jamal lunged, slamming his shoulder into the nearest goon, sending him crashing into a glass partition that shattered like his nerves. Rico followed, kicking out at another, buying seconds. Emily screamed, "Run, Jamal," but he wouldn't leave her. He grabbed a letter opener from the desk, slicing his zip ties as Hale roared, pulling a gun from his jacket. The climax hit like a storm breaking, glass flying, shouts blending with sirens, Emily's labored breathing a desperate rhythm. Cops burst through the door, shouting, "Freeze," and Hale's men scattered, some dropping weapons, others diving for cover. Jamal ducked behind the desk, dragging Emily down with him as bullets cracked the air. Her face was pale, sweat beading, but she grabbed his hand. "The proof, it's with Raoul. He's got the real chip hidden in his shop. Get it out." Jamal nodded, heart racing as he shielded her, his dad's strength flowing through him. A cop tackled Hale, pinning him as he cursed, the smarmy politician mask gone, revealing the monster who'd orchestrated Marcus's hit and run to protect his smuggling ring. The room became a blur of arrests, Hale's men cuffed one by one. But Jamal's focus stayed on Emily, her breathing shallow. "Stay with me," he whispered, feeling the weight of his unborn half-sibling tying them together. Paramedics rushed in, lifting Emily onto a stretcher as she gripped Jamal's hand. "You're like him, kind," she murmured before they wheeled her out. Rico, bruised but grinning, clapped Jamal's shoulder. "Man, we're alive. You're a hero, bro." But it didn't feel heroic, not yet. Hale was in cuffs, yelling about his connections, but the real proof was still out there. Jamal slipped out in the chaos, dodging cops' questions, and sprinted to Raoul's bodega. The city blurred past, his sneakers pounding pavement, driven by the need to finish what Marcus started, exposing the corruption that preyed on desperate families crossing borders, the kind of evil his dad fought with quiet bridges of compassion. Raoul was waiting, the shop still trashed from the earlier attack. "You made it," he said, pulling a small box from under the counter. Inside was another microchip, this one unmarked but heavy with promise. "Marcus trusted me with this. Names, dates, bank accounts. Hale's whole operation, tied to feds and gangs." Jamal's hands shook as he took it, the weight of his dad's double life settling in. They uploaded the files to Rico's laptop, streaming them to a local news outlet before anyone could stop them. Within hours, the story broke. Councilman Hale's smuggling ring exposed, his fake border security rhetoric crumbling under evidence of profiteering. The city erupted, protests outside City Hall, news vans swarming. Jamal watched from the bodega's TV, Angela beside him now, tears in her eyes as she learned the full truth about Marcus. "He was a good man," she whispered, hugging Jamal tight. "So are you." The main conflicts unraveled fast. Hale arrested, his men rounded up, Emily safe in the hospital, her baby born premature but stable. Jamal visited, seeing his tiny half-sister through the nursery glass, a new bridge in a fractured family. Angela met her too, pain in her eyes but acceptance growing. The note that started it all, handed over on that crowded bus, had changed everything, proving a black teen's kindness could spark justice across racial lines. But as Jamal walked home that night, the final twist hit like a cold wind. A text from an unknown number. "You did good, kid." But Hale was just a piece. The real head's still out there. Watch your back. His blood chilled. The chip had exposed one villain, but the smuggling ring's roots ran deeper, into shadows Marcus never reached. Suspense lingered, the city's lights flickering like unanswered questions, promising more battles for the bridges his dad built. The office suite felt like a pressure cooker, the air thick with the stench of fear and Hale's cologne. Jamal stood frozen, wrists zip-tied, staring down the barrel of a gun as Councilman Hale loomed over Emily, her face twisted in pain from early contractions. Rico was pinned against the wall by another goon, his usual bravado replaced with wide-eyed panic. Sirens screamed closer now, red and blue lights flashing through the high windows, casting jagged shadows across the room. Hale's eyes darted between Emily and the computer screen still blinking with error messages from the decoy chip. "You think you're clever," he snarled at her, voice low and dangerous. "Where's the real proof? I'll bury you all before those cops get through." Jamal's heart pounded, his dad's legacy, the secret network of kindness bridging black, white, and brown lives, hanging by a thread. That life-changing note from the bus, born from a simple act of giving up his seat, had led him here, to this moment where everything could end. Emily gasped, clutching her belly, but her voice held steady. "You'll never find it, Hale." Marcus made sure of that. Her defiance lit a spark in Jamal. He caught Rico's eye, nodding slightly, time to move. The sirens were deafening now, tires screeching outside. Hale's men hesitated, distracted by the chaos. Jamal lunged, slamming his shoulder into the nearest goon, sending him crashing into a glass partition that shattered like his nerves. Rico followed, kicking out at another, buying seconds. Emily screamed, "Run, Jamal," but he wouldn't leave her. He grabbed a letter opener from the desk, slicing his zip ties as Hale roared, pulling a gun from his jacket. The climax hit like a storm breaking, glass flying, shouts blending with sirens, Emily's labored breathing a desperate rhythm. Cops burst through the door, shouting, "Freeze," and Hale's men scattered, some dropping weapons, others diving for cover. Jamal ducked behind the desk, dragging Emily down with him as bullets cracked the air. Her face was pale, sweat beading, but she grabbed his hand. "The proof, it's with Raoul. He's got the real chip hidden in his shop. Get it out." Jamal nodded, heart racing as he shielded her, his dad's strength flowing through him. A cop tackled Hale, pinning him as he cursed, the smarmy politician mask gone, revealing the monster who'd orchestrated Marcus's hidden run to protect his smuggling ring. The room became a blur of arrests, Hale's men cuffed one by one. But Jamal's focus stayed on Emily, her breathing shallow. "Stay with me," he whispered, feeling the weight of his unborn half-sibling tying them together. Paramedics rushed in, lifting Emily onto a stretcher as she gripped Jamal's hand. "You're like him, kind," she murmured before they wheeled her out. Rico, bruised but grinning, clapped Jamal's shoulder. "Man, we're alive. You're a hero, bro." But it didn't feel heroic, not yet. Hale was in cuffs, yelling about his connections, but the real proof was still out there. Jamal slipped out in the chaos, dodging cops' questions, and sprinted to Raoul's bodega. The city blurred past, his sneakers pounding pavement, driven by the need to finish what Marcus started, exposing the corruption that preyed on desperate families crossing borders, the kind of evil his dad fought with quiet bridges of compassion. Raoul was waiting, the shop still trashed from the earlier attack. "You made it," he said, pulling a small box from under the counter. Inside was another microchip, this one unmarked but heavy with promise. Marcus trusted me with this. Names, dates, bank accounts. Hale's whole operation, tied to feds and gangs. Jamal's hands shook as he took it, the weight of his dad's double life settling in. They uploaded the files to Rico's laptop, streaming them to a local news outlet before anyone could stop them. Within hours, the story broke. Councilman Hale's smuggling ring exposed, his fake border security rhetoric crumbling under evidence of profiteering. The city erupted, protests outside City Hall, news vans swarming. Jamal watched from the bodega's TV, Angela beside him now, tears in her eyes as she learned the full truth about Marcus. "He was a good man," she whispered, hugging Jamal tight. "So are you." The main conflicts unraveled fast. Hale arrested, his men rounded up, Emily safe in the hospital, her baby born premature but stable. Jamal visited, seeing his tiny half-sister through the nursery glass, a new bridge in a fractured family. Angela met her too, pain in her eyes but acceptance growing. The note that started it all, handed over on that crowded bus, had changed everything, proving a black teen's kindness could spark justice across racial lines. But as Jamal walked home that night, the final twist hit like a cold wind. A text from an unknown number. "You did good, kid." But Hale was just a piece. The real head's still out there. Watch your back. His blood chilled. The chip had exposed one villain, but the smuggling ring's roots ran deeper, into shadows Marcus never reached. Suspense lingered, the city's lights flickering like unanswered questions, promising more battles for the bridges his dad built. The city lights flickered outside Jamal's window, casting a soft glow across his room as he sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the text that had chilled him to the bone. Hale was just a piece. The real head's still out there. Those words echoed, a lingering shadow over the victory of exposing Councilman Hale's smuggling ring. Jamal's heart still raced from the whirlwind of the past days, the chaos in the office, Emily's rescue, his half-sister's tiny face in the hospital nursery. He'd thought exposing Hale would tie it all up, that the life-changing note from that bus ride would lead to closure. But now, with this new warning, the world his dad, Marcus, had fought for, bridging divides between black, white, and brown lives through quiet acts of kindness, felt fragile, like a bridge swaying in a storm. He slipped the burner phone under his pillow, knowing sleep wouldn't come easy tonight. Angela knocked softly on his door, her nurse's scrubs swapped for a faded sweatshirt, her eyes carrying that mix of worry and strength Jamal had always leaned on. "You okay, baby? You've been through a lot." She sat beside him, the mattress creaking under her weight. He wanted to tell her about the text, the looming threat, but her face already carried enough scars from learning about Marcus's secret life, his work with the underground network, his relationship with Emily, the baby. Instead, he leaned into her, letting her warmth anchor him. "Just thinking about Dad," he said, voice low. "How he helped so many people, but it cost him." Angela nodded, her hand squeezing his. "Your daddy was a hero, Jamal. Not perfect, but good. And what you did, getting that truth out. You're his son through and through." Her words settled some of the storm in him, but the unanswered question hung heavy. Who is the real head behind Hale? The next morning, Jamal met Rico at their usual park bench, the air crisp with fall coming on. Rico, still bruised from their warehouse run-in, was back to his old self, cracking jokes to lighten the mood. "Man, we took down a city hall big shot. We're basically superheroes now, right?" Jamal managed a half smile, pulling out the burner phone to show him the text. Rico's grin faded. "Yo, for real? We're not done." Jamal shook his head, the weight of it sinking in. They headed to Raoul's bodega, needing his perspective. The shop was tidied up now, shelves restocked, but Raoul's face still carried the wear of a man who'd seen too much. He listened as Jamal explained, his scar twitching as he frowned. Marcus always said the ring had layers, like an onion. Hale was a front man, greedy, loud. Someone higher pulls the strings, someone with real power. Could be feds, could be corporate. But this? He tapped the phone. Means they're scared. You shook the nest. Raoul's words stirred Jamal's resolve. He thought back to that crowded bus, the simple act of giving up his seat to a pregnant white woman, a black teen's kindness sparking this whole chain. It wasn't just about him anymore. It was about the families Marcus saved, the bridges he built across racial lines, the legacy of fighting for those who had no voice. Jamal, Rico, and Raul huddled over a plan. Release the rest of the chips files to more outlets, flood the internet with the truth before the real head could silence them. Rico, the tech whiz, suggested anonymous forums, places where whistleblowers thrived. We go viral. They can't bury it, he said, eyes gleaming. Jamal nodded, but his gut twisted. Going bigger meant bigger targets on their backs. At home, Angela was waiting with news that hit like a punch. I went to the hospital to see Emily and the baby, she said, voice steady but eyes soft. She's naming her Maya, after your dad's mom. Wants us to be part of her life. Jamal's throat tightened. His half-sister, Maya, a living tie to Marcus's choices, good and bad. Angela's acceptance was a quiet strength, forgiving the man she loved despite his secrets. We're family, she said simply. And family sticks together. Jamal hugged her, the pain of betrayal easing into something new. Hope. But the text haunted him. He showed it to Angela, needing her to know. Her face hardened. We don't run, Jamal. We face it like your dad did. She pulled out an old box from Marcus's things, one Jamal had never seen. Inside, letters, love notes to her, but also lists of contacts, safe houses, a journal detailing his work. One entry stood out. If I fall, the snake's head is closer than you think. Trust no one in power. The journal was a map, pointing to a name, Lydia Voss, a federal agent tied to immigration enforcement. Often on TV beside Hale, her sharp suits and sharper words masking something darker. Jamal's pulse quickened. Was she the head? He and Rico dug online, finding whispers of Voss's involvement in shady deals, her name buried in the chips files as a silent partner. They sent the evidence to every news outlet they could, Rico's fingers flying over the keyboard as Jamal watched the uploads go live. By nightfall, the story exploded, headlines screaming about Voss's ties to the smuggling ring, her role in covering Marcus's hit and run. Protests grew louder outside City Hall, voices of all colors demanding justice, echoing the bridges Marcus built. Jamal felt his dad's spirit in the air, the kindness that started with a bus seat rippling into a movement. But the threat wasn't gone. Late that night, as Jamal and Angela watched the news, a knock rattled their door. Jamal froze, the burner phone buzzing with another text. You're close. Too close. Angela grabbed a kitchen knife, her nurse's calm replaced by a mother's fire. Stay behind me, she whispered. Jamal's heart pounded as he peeked through the peephole, a delivery guy, holding a package. No uniform, though, and his eyes darted nervously. Jamal signaled Angela to wait, cracking the door. Who sent this? The guy shrugged, too quick, and bolted down the hall. Inside the package, a single photo, Jamal and Rico at the park, taken hours ago. A warning. Angela's face paled, but she squared her shoulders. We go to the police now with everything. The station was a zoo, reporters, cops, protesters, but a detective named Carter, a black woman with a no-nonsense vibe, took their case. She'd seen the news, knew Marcus's name from old files. Your dad was a hero, she said, scanning the journal. Voss is lawyering up. But this? She held up the chips printouts. This buries her. Jamal handed over the photo too, his voice steady despite the fear. They're still watching us. Carter nodded, promising protection. Days later, Voss was arrested, her polished image shattered as evidence piled up, bank records, witness accounts, even a recorded call where she ordered Marcus's hit. The smuggling ring unraveled, its tentacles cut as safe houses were secured, families freed from its grip. Jamal visited Emily and Maya again, the hospital room bright with morning light. Emily looked stronger, holding her daughter with a tired smile. You saved us, she said, tears in her eyes. Marcus would be proud. Jamal touched Maya's tiny hand, feeling the weight of family shift, new, messy, but real. He told Emily about Angela's offer to be part of their lives, a bridge across the pain. Emily nodded, grateful. Your kindness on that bus. It changed everything. Jamal smiled, the life-changing note's impact sinking in. A black teen's small act had sparked justice, uniting races in a fight for truth. Back home, life settled into a new rhythm. Angela took a promotion at the hospital, her strength a beacon for Jamal as he applied to college, engineering dreams alive again. Rico kept him grounded, joking about their spy days but sticking close. Raul rebuilt his bodega, a photo of Marcus now hanging behind the counter, a tribute to the man who crossed borders for others. The city changed too. New policies to protect immigrants, community centers named after Marcus, his legacy a bridge that held. But the final twist lingered in Jamal's mind. A week after Voss's arrest, another package arrived, no return address. Inside, a letter in Marcus's handwriting, dated days before his death. If you're reading this, son, you've won a battle. But the war for kindness never ends. Keep building bridges. Tucked inside was a key to a safe deposit box, unopened. Jamal stood on the balcony, the city sprawling below, alive with possibility and shadows. The key weighed heavy in his palm, a new mystery whispering. What else had Marcus left? The threat was gone for now, but his dad's words rang true. Kindness was a fight, a bridge across divides that never stopped needing builders. Jamal thought of the bus, the pregnant white woman, the note that changed his life. He'd given a seat, sparked a revolution, and found family in the chaos. The takeaway burned bright. No act of kindness is too small, no bridge too hard to build. He tucked the key away, ready for whatever came next, the city's heartbeat echoing his own, steady, hopeful, unbroken.